Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us this afternoon in Madrid. I'm Laura Stefania, I'm your moderator. We're here to talk about accelerating deep tech, scaling innovation in early stage. And I have with me fantastic speakers, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll go ahead with the topic. So please.
Yeah, so hello. Very nice to be here. First time in Madrid, so very exciting today. So I'm Nazanin, originally from Iran. My background is computer science. Was a developer and a CTO for 15 plus years. Decided to go back to Iran, build 2 companies. The second one became the biggest female-led startup of the country. Filed for IPO in 2022, but given the political situation, I had to leave the country, came back to Germany, and I've been investing in AI space since then. From 2020 as an angel investor, and from 2023 as an institutional investor, focusing on AI native companies as well as basically deep tech, specifically on the robotics sector.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant, thank you very much. Alvaro.
Well, after that presentation, I feel very small. So yeah, thank you, Laura, and thank you for the South Summit for the invitation. Happy to be here. I'm an entrepreneur, being in the entrepreneurial ecosystem for 24 years. I've launched more than 20 companies in 7 different countries. I have lived in 5, traveled to almost 50. And what has brought me to this table is I've been in the deep tech venture building space for the past 5 years, helping amazing minds, researchers from the top universities in Spain to create companies out of their patents and projects.
Brilliant. Blanca.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Well, I come from Barcelona. Women Angels for STEAM is a network of female business angels. We invest in deep tech startups with at least 1 female founder. We are currently 180 business angels. We have invested 35 startups, deep tech startups, and we have been carrying out this activity for the last 8 years, and we are very proud of our achievements. I'm also LP at Ship2B in the 3rd fund, which is a fund, an impact fund, and also invest directly in startups and through other networks and groups, like, for example, Pinama Capital 23.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. So I'll be moderating. I am Laura. I'm originally from Bilbao. After spending a few years in Austria, Germany, and the UK, I'm now based in the Middle East, and I'm running Conquista PR, which is an emerging tech communications firm, and we do public relations and public affairs for emerging tech companies. So the fit is brilliant here. Now we're going to talk about deep tech, guys. So deep tech being increasingly shaping economic and competitiveness and national priorities around the world, we're seeing AI infrastructure, robotics, climate systems, defense technologies, advanced materials, quantum technology, and energy storage. So these are no longer future bets, they're industrial strategies. And yet, despite the rhetoric around innovation, most early-stage deep tech founders still face the same structural problem. Capital markets reward speed, while deep tech requires endurance. We're going to explore now what is happening. So everyone wants exposure to AI, climate, defense, frontier technologies right now. But beneath the headlines, many founders are still struggling to raise patient capital for technologies that may take years to commercialize. Has venture capital truly adapted to deep tech timelines? Or are investors underwriting scientific ambition or just thematic momentum?
I have a bit of a different view, because I believe when we are talking about deep tech, we are talking about two deep tech eras. One before AI, which we are all used to it, 10 years, 15 years, getting into commercial sector from a biotech, quantum, and all semiconductors, etc. And then we are talking about the post-AI, that mainly we are talking, as you mentioned, defense, robotics, climate, etc. I have invested in a company last year, actually not even a year ago, 9 months ago, and now they are commercializing in the robotics sector, which is an underwater drone, which is the first time happening in Europe. I believe within the AI category, looking at each one of them, we are not looking at the same time horizon anymore. So with AI, with the change of the market, with the dynamics that are there, actually, there are 2 things happening. So I invest in software as well as the deep tech part of the hardware. On the software side, we are seeing longer momentum to return the fund or return the investment because AI companies need less money to actually grow and they are more productive. And actually on the hardware or deep tech part, we are seeing a shorter period of time. I mean, we can discuss what type of companies, right? I mean, obviously this is not a general, but the ones that we are investing, we are not, as an investor, we are not worried about those timelines anymore. So I am kind of biased. I think given the Europe positioning, we have a pre-seed, we have a seed, we have a Series A capital for these guys, but I do see the problem somewhere else that I'm happy to discuss, but I don't think the patience capital, as you called it, is a problem now because the timelines are shortening.
Absolutely. Alvaro.
Yeah, I believe, Laura, that the key thing for new VCs trying to enter into deep tech is to get people inside the fund that actually understands the technology they want to invest in. A new asset class takes more or less 20 years to mature. Deep tech, it's kind of recent in terms of being an asset class to be invested in. So we are still in the early stages of investing actually in deep tech. And when it comes to Europe, what is happening is that usually you're seeing some funds that want to invest in deep tech companies, but they have two problems. The first one, as I just mentioned, is that they don't have enough knowledge within the fund of people, experts in those fields they want to invest in. And the other thing is that from their LPs, the mandate is to return the money in the usual periods of between 8 to 10 years. And when it comes to deep tech, I want to use this way to mention it. There is a very well-known fund here in Spain called Viego Capital, and they mentioned science equity when it comes to investing in deep tech. If you don't understand that these projects will take longer periods of time, usually they will need more capital to be deployed, although in exchange of a pure software company, the competition is way smaller, okay? And the market is usually bigger. So I will mention those two areas, understanding the times, both from your LPs and you as an investor, and then, surround yourself within the fund with experts in each and every one of those, verticals within deep tech you want to invest in.
Brilliant. Blanca, you want to add to that?
Bueno, I don't know if, as Nazanin was saying, AI is going to accelerate deep tech and companies and access to market, but there are a lot of different deep techs, okay? And I think that VCs, at least here in Spain, still have this, or many of them still have this software startup timeline mentality, no? So fast grow, scale, fast and furious, no? Deep tech in general terms, because in deep tech you are also talking about health and biotech and needs a lot of research, needs a lot of time. The regulatory process is very hard, very long, requires time and a lot of money, a lot of money until there is some view, some light of profitability. No? So in this sense, I think that VCs, many of them still don't have that patient capital, no? And even there are a lot of them who are very specialized on deep tech with technical teams and a lot of specialization on specific sectors. But I think that they do not understand completely, at least in Spain, the deep tech risks. They want to avoid the technical risk, and at the end, there is, of course, technical risk, no? And that's why I want here to give value to the role that we as business angels have, because business angels fill this space, no? The very early moment of the deep tech startups, where we are true believers. We just give the funds without any validation, without any consensus, and we provide the funds, and it's a very important role that we have, business angels, until the VCs can access to those technologies, maybe at the moment that they are more validated. No?
Brilliant. Thank you for the insight.
Something I want to add to that discussion, when we are talking, I agree, when we are talking about deep tech, we can talk about foundational model all the way till biotech and stuff like that. At the end of the day, my job as a VC is to bring a return to my LPs, right? That's why I'm there. So when I look at the stuff, I think there are some categories that VC is not the right asset class for it. For example, foundational model. You look at it, it takes years. And the first investor of OpenAI was Elon Musk, not to return a VC money, just as whatever, all that story that maybe everybody know, right? So the story is just like maybe for some of these categories, we need to look at the different bucket of investment from a governmental side, from a research side, stuff like that. So, if you ask a VC, if you ask any LP, would you give me money, then I'll tell you in 12 years if it's working. Obviously, nobody wants to do it, right? This is not our job. Our job is to come and define, like on climate, we are in a good stage to actually, we do a lot of investments there. At defense, the same story. At robotics, the same story. At AI infrastructure, not foundational model, so these are the new definitions of deep tech for VCs again, but deep tech for a lot of other investment or vehicles of investment could be completely different, but I don't think that all of the deep tech categories are the right products for the VC investment.
Right, fall into the bucket. Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you. So, and then in terms of, so we work with media, so we're looking at the news constantly, and I have a question regarding jurisdiction. So if we look at different jurisdictions such as the US and what is happening in Silicon Valley, as we were talking about earlier, and some other places where like AI, for example, is accelerating a lot. We're looking at China as well. How do these narratives that we see, for example, in the Valley, influence the rest of the world and investment?
I will say not as much, to be completely honest, especially in Europe. I think it's about, again, what I mentioned about time. The US started way earlier to have, venture capital as an asset class than here in Europe. So we're still seeing, the usual LPs to those funds are, family offices, families that have been investing in X type of industry. But it takes time, for them to understand, as she was mentioning, the time to invest in deep tech will take. I think it's about, having the patience to, and be open about asking the government to put some money in, because definitely, we need the support from the government. There are so many, spaces and people within the deep tech space that are not receiving enough support to get those projects out of the universities. For example, what we're doing, as venture builders. Yes, we can find so much public money for the companies we help and create, but who's supporting us, within the path? And we are, investing a lot of our time, resources, team, to actually get those projects, spin out of the university. So I will say, back to your question, not as much, but hopefully we are on a good track, because if you see the numbers 5 years ago, we for sure have moved on, in the amount of money, the amount of venture capital specialized in deep tech, but still, a way to go.
Yeah.
I have a bit of a, I agree on that one. But one problem I have with Europe, we've got China, we've got America.
Yeah.
If in Europe we copy the playbook of America, sorry, it doesn't work anymore. It used to work 15 years ago. But now in the US, you have hyperscalers, you have the money, you have the infrastructure, you have the open people that run the procurement, actually deliver. And then in China, you have industrial, you have the clear strategy, which is crazy, We need to focus on what we are good at in Europe. We cannot just keep on copy-pasting. And going back to what you said about the capital, now Europe has just announced this 5 billion investment into deep tech. A couple of weeks ago, EQT Venture is going to manage it from Sweden. what are we going to do? What is the strategy? The reality is just like, I mean, this is a public thing, so I'm not going to give my own, perception of how it's going to, how it's going to, because I used to work at EQT. No. So the reality is just that if we don't focus on what we are good at it, then we are going to lose the market. And the issue that I'm seeing with the deep tech companies, we've got 250 portfolio companies at the moment. The issue is not, there is no funding. I mean, there are so many of our friends, VC funds and stuff like that, but the issue is this freaking procurement. They just can't sell the product because the German companies, the German industry, the UK, all this Europe, it's just so damn slow. It just takes forever. They're all skeptical. They are slow. They're watching it. They're just not trusting it. But then all my portfolio companies, they're just like, we go to the US and we start selling it straight away. Everybody wants to try it.
Yeah.
And so our issue is not talent. We have great university. We have great people. We have early stage money. Now Europe's at 5 billion to the growth stage. Perfect. But as long as we cannot sell, it doesn't matter who is going to fund us on Series B, right? I mean, we need to be able to get the companies into the actual customers and somebody that can sign. So my understanding is just like, the lack in here is just like being so risk averse in the industry and not being able to try these new technologies. And having said that, we are going to lose on that side if we don't fix that. And we are going to lose our industry because the productivity is dead.
Yeah.
Again, the German bureaucracy, I live in Berlin, right? It's just like, bing, bing, bing. It takes forever, everything, and we can just do much better with AI now. I mean, you come from UAE. UAE just announced that they are going to cut so many.
An agentic AI embedded in the government in 2 years,
All of the European countries should look at that, and we have the people to provide the services. What are we waiting for? I mean, the time of doing in-person services, seriously, it has passed.
So let's dive
That's
up.
an info
No,
question.
yes. One point on, because I completely agree, but so Europe, we have great scientists, technology, universities, everything, no? But we need more global companies to scale up global companies. And for that, we need ambition. I think that Europe is not being ambitious enough.
Who in Europe? Our industry. I mean, our founders are ambitious.
Everybody's like,
Anna,
Yes.
come on, they go to the US, they raise all this money, they sell. These are
But
the same
what
people.
happened in Europe? We have a fragmented market, fragmented regulations. If I want to invest in a Greek company, I have to appoint a tax representative. I need to obtain a tax number, and I need to prepare thousands of papers and documents and translations and apostilles and everything. So how are we going to cooperate as a one single market for investment, for companies to access to market? It's impossible. So this is Europe. This is Europe. It's lack of ambition because
So we have ambition, lack of distribution as well. And Álvaro, what else would you add to that?
Well,
What are we lacking
you
in
see,
Europe?
the idea to solve what you just mentioned in Blanca is EU Inc.
Yeah,
It was an
exactly.
initiative brought to the ecosystem, the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
and it didn't work.
It didn't work because they didn't put it as a law to be complied by the 27 different countries in the EU.
Yes.
So if they do have the option to comply or not to the EU Inc. initiative, then it's not going to work.
No.
And we call the European Union as a one market, but it's just like
not.
she was mentioning.
Correct, yes.
It's 27 scarred markets.
Brilliant. So the next question that I was going to ask, I'm just going to scrap it because it was, can Europe realistically compete with the US and China in strategy technologies? So we'll skip that. What needs to change over the next 5 years to prevent Europe from becoming merely the R&D, research and development lab for foreign markets?
I think I gave my answer, so I'm clear on that one.
Ambition. I don't know. Mira, one thing, because this is one of my favorite things, matters, which is bring more women, more female talent to the ecosystem. Because now we are losing in Europe half of the technical talent. Half. If we want to compete with Europe and with States and with China, We need to put all that talent, and what do we need for that? We need women access into the technical universities, more visibility for the women entrepreneurs, more people who can really support women founders, and then, of course, the private capital has to go to the female founders. To data. Only 14% of all the deep tech startups are funded by women. And of those, only 11% of all the funds arrive to deep tech startups funded by women. Entonces, what are we going to do? We are losing all that talent if we don't fund those people.
Shifting the focus to the founder, what qualities are we looking at when we talk to founders?
One thing that with the deep tech companies, one problem that I normally face, there are two problems. Either the team is too technical for PhD MAs. I just actually was evaluating a team, 5 PhDs from top university in Switzerland. Okay, great, you've done this paper breakthrough. And
it's going to sell.
Yeah, it's not going to sell on its own.
How do we go to market?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is the first thing. The second thing about the company I invested, so like a couple of months ago, I was just like, guys, you've been a technical company building this robot, amazing, but maybe at some point you need to change the gear. As long as you don't deploy it with the customer, and actually they deployed it in the port of Barcelona recently, and they deployed it somewhere else. It didn't work. It completely crashed because the environment that they were building the robot was complete. So there are two things. First of all, when you're building a deep tech company, you need to make sure that you have obviously a technical wedge, you have a great commercial setup, and at the end of the day, you know what moat you are building on the long term, and you have a founder market fit, And then be early on the commercial side of the thing, because it doesn't matter, it's deep tech, but it has to be tested with the customer and stay close to that one.
Brilliant. Alvaro?
Yeah, I'll add, and especially because it's what I do every day, to have the possibility to speak with these incredible minds, the researchers from top universities. I think it's about, Laura, to understand what am I good at. If you're a great researcher, you don't have to be a great business person. You don't have to be an amazing entrepreneur. I do agree with Blanca 100%. We need more female in companies and in VCs investing in those female-led deep tech companies. But this is one thing that we should copy from the US. The US understood perfectly why do they have to put together this great leader that comes from an MBA from Harvard with this amazing, engineer from MIT, and understanding they're very good at what they do. If you combine these two great type of people, the entrepreneurial mind, which is, believes they have to sell every time and every place they are at their product or their service, together with an amazing team of, technical, co-founders, then you have, the winning form of succeeding.
Amazing.
So getting together people with an entrepreneurial background, with a technical and engineering background.
Amazing. What qualities are we looking?
And for that, no, it's true, completely true. So we need faster transfer from university to industry, from university to business, and for that there are some VCs which are helping a lot, okay, because they are specialized on these transfers from university to industry, and they provide them with teams, business teams, marketing, all what a researcher or scientific needs in order to put the product into the market.
Yes.
So yeah, they are helping a lot. But we need more.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how much of today's deep tech investing is actually conviction, and how much is career risk management?
It's a lot of career risk management, if I'm being honest, But at the same time, finding this combination that we discussed is also, even if you are a deep tech founder, it doesn't matter. You need to have a plan. What is the timeline of an MVP? Nobody, most of them, they don't even answer. Yeah, we are building, but you need, That's why I always say, would you put your own money into this? Would you? Now, because when I was fundraising for my own company, I did 7 rounds. At every round, I asked myself, would I put my dad's money, my car's money into my company? And it's as simple as that, you know?
Yep.
And when you answer them, and you're just saying, yeah, we've done this paper, whatever, we are selling the dream, but at least put down the dream into a plan so everybody can build that conviction. This is what we are building, the conviction. And unfortunately, lots of time we are missing that. So I personally hedge a lot towards my own career, but at the same time, I am pretty open. I'm meeting constantly the teams, and yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I believe if I'm able to talk to the team, they understand the value that an entrepreneurial co-founder will bring to the company in order to start speaking with potential customers as early as possible, even though you don't have a product ready yet. You're on a TRL, let's say 4 to 5, but you're still, having the possibility to get an LOI from a potential customer that gives the traction at that early stage that you will need to understand that you have the possibility to adjust a product or service to the actual what the customer in the future will need from you.
Running out of time.
Yes, so since we're running out of time, we're going to get to the closing questions. If we meet again in 5 years, what deep tech category or capability will become strategically indispensable? And what are investors still underestimating about it today? In a sentence.
In a sentence.
For me, I think energy is the biggest category that we are still underestimating given the AI consumption amount that is happening in the world.
Infrastructure.
Just to not repeat Nazanin, I will say
Sorry.
water.
What?
Water.
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 Yeah.
Water.
Yeah. There is a scarcity of water in a lot of countries. We take it for granted because we have, regular water in our houses, but there are so many countries in the world that don't have regular water. So I do believe that in 5 years, with the climate change, it is going to be a biggest challenge that it is right now.
Sure.
Blanca.
Bueno, I don't know. Seriously. One of the questions that we are asking our the startups that we analyze is your product or your solution or your service going to survive in 2-3 years' time to AI? Will it exist? No?
Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. So, I don't know, whatever that can survive in 5 years' time, maybe. I don't know.
So from our firm's perspective, what we're seeing is that cybersecurity is a growing concern, and that whenever there's warfare, one of the first systems that is attacked is obviously anything digital, and we see it, we service lots of Web3 and crypto and digital assets firms, and it is a growing concern, so that is something that we see investors looking at specifically. But yeah, well, this is great. I don't know if you guys have any questions to our brilliant speakers, but here they are. Please, over to you. Nothing? Please.
Thank you for a great panel. I think this is the most fun one I've had, so kudos to all 3 of you.
Thank you.
And my question is more around profitability, right? There was a lot of talks around timelines in deep tech, and you mentioned that it's at par with potentially software companies. So where are you seeing that AI is bridging the gap in the timelines when it comes to deep techs? If you have any specific examples from companies.
Yeah. So look, for example, the robotics is a clear example, right? So in robotics, we are talking about software as well as hardware. I would actively be careful about building the hardware in Europe, given the changes in the world and China producing, we buy a humanoid in Europe for 10,000 euros now. China is selling a better one for 1,500. This is a live stats, right? So it just doesn't make sense that you would go into that. But obviously, we can use the hardware part. I mean, those guys are industrial, they build that. But then when it comes to the software, the part that AI is, for example, detecting or maintenance or all these robotic dogs and stuff like that, if you wanted to build the software for these robots, it would have taken ages. But now with AI, they are much faster to show the MVP. So that is the time now. Or when we go into biotechs or drug discovery and all these things, AI has actively shortened the amount of time there.
Thank you. So we ran out of time, and I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm very happy to be here. If you have any other questions, please approach our fantastic speakers. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.